Well, guys, this is how you know we're in a bull season. Justin Sun has a big announcement about an upcoming Tron announcement. Hey guys, happy Sunday. We have so much happening today in the space. Bitcoin reaching new all-time highs in excess of $28,000. Ethereum really starting to rev up, and its engines are just looking like it's going to catapult itself into the stratosphere and beyond. We're also talking macro developments as well as Litecoin developments, which is looking like a very strong project. If you guys like this kind of content, of course, Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency, be sure to like and subscribe. Let's start here with Justin Sun of Tron TRX. He's saying that a big announcement for TRX is coming, #Tron. It's hard to tell with Justin, which announcement he's actually referring to, because since the time of this tweet, we have actually heard news from Justin. I just don't know if this corresponds to what he was teasing initially. Nevertheless, this is big news, so let's cover it. TRX is now on Travala.com. Travala tweeting, top 5 most booked destinations of the year using cryptocurrencies on Travala.com. Berlin, which was booked with AVA, BCH, BTC, Crypto.com Pay, DAI-ETH, TRX, and XZC. So Travala.com embracing cryptocurrency, embracing all that we're seeing and this new trend that is, in fact, nothing less than a revolution, now also embracing TRX and Tron. So kudos and very good news indeed for Justin and the broader community. However, the news of the day and the star of the hour certainly goes to Bitcoin. We're discussing it now in terms of its new all-time high that it's set. CZ Binance putting things into perspective, and this is definitely how I feel. Let me know if you guys can relate. I have a meeting, Bitcoin breaks all-time high. I eat dinner, Bitcoin breaks all-time high. I swim, Bitcoin breaks all-time high. I sleep, Bitcoin breaks all-time high. I do nothing, Bitcoin breaks all-time high. So I have just had personally speaking now, my schedule completely inversed over the course of these last, I would say, few weeks, kind of even before we initially hit that first north of $20,000 all-time high. And I've been up all night. I've been tracking prices, and I'm full of energy. I'm not complaining because it's a fun time, so I'm full of euphoria, but my schedule has been everywhere, and I can relate to this completely. Last night in the wee hours of the morning, I was tracking Bitcoin, kind of eagerly awaiting it to hit $27,000 and beyond, which was at the time going to be an all-time high. And I wake up this morning and I see we went all the way up to 28,005 and have now retraced, but I can relate 100% to what CZ is saying here. And Max Keiser, got to give this guy props and kudos, at Max Keiser, $28,000, which we talked about yesterday almost in the abstract as, maybe we'll get there by the end of the year. It's possible, but don't count on it. And yesterday we saw, what was it, a $3,000 Bitcoin candle? Unbelievable. So Max Keiser absolutely called it. We got to give him credit here. $28,000 target from 2 years ago was hit. Next short-term target is my hash rate adjusted price of $35,000, which was made last year when Bitcoin hash rate was hitting a new all-time high. I'll be on Daniela Cambo next week with 2021 and my target. So Max Keiser kind of makes the analogy here, talks about how $28,000 is still vastly underpriced. And the analogy here is one of a Fabergé egg. So he asks, if you saw a genuine Fabergé egg on sale on eBay for $28,000, only $28,000, would you buy it? Bitcoin are Fabergé eggs selling for $28,000 a piece. In other words, what are you waiting for? In other words, get to it. If you're not familiar with the Fabergé egg market, a $28,000 egg is the steal of the century because these things are generally priced in the millions of dollars. And that's what Max is suggesting. $28,000 for Bitcoin is still unbelievably, astronomically cheap. And here's the pattern, if you haven't noticed it. On December 23rd, Bitcoin was at 23,000, 24,000 on the 24th, 25,000 on the 25th, 26,000 on the 26th, and 27,000 on the 27th. Although we also hit 28,000 on the 27th. So perhaps now we're actually increasing. We're going to exceed this particular pattern once you extrapolate it. So Molly Spears here tweets, we're all calling for $31,000 Bitcoin on the 31st of December. But then what happens next? Like I said, guys, we're starting to form new patterns. There's a little bit of consolidation happening, but we're very much still in price discovery. So it's an exciting time. Of course, a $27,000 Bitcoin is still massive, and it's very significant because it also represents a $0.5 trillion market cap. That is $500 billion. But it doesn't stop there. This is such a fluid and dynamic space. So we asked you guys actually just 3 minutes ago, will Bitcoin see $30,000 before January, before the end of the year 2020? So far, again, just a couple minutes ago, 50 votes in, it looks like a slight majority of you are saying yes. If you have not yet voted on this, check out our community page on the Altcoin Buzz YouTube page, and you can vote, cast your vote. We expect to, again, run with the wisdom of the crowds in this sense, because that tends to be the most accurate predictor. Yesterday, we discussed in detail how Bitcoin's total market cap at that point in the high 400 billions had taken over major companies. It meant that Bitcoin was larger in effect than Visa, then Samsung, and then a semiconductor company out of Taiwan, TSMC. Econometrics here. Bitcoin is taking the fast lane. And now that it has flipped Visa, the next step is to flip the mega cap stocks. Facebook, that's going to happen when Bitcoin is at $41,000. Google will be flipped when Bitcoin is at $63,000. And Apple will be flipped when Bitcoin is at $120,000. The crazy thing, if you think about it, even though some of those numbers look big, this is all still very possible in this current cycle. It's actually also possible in the next year or so. Don't forget, Citibank themselves are calling for a $380,000 Bitcoin by December of next year, December 2021. But even taking it more conservatively, the goal for this cycle can still be a Bitcoin market cap that is larger than Apple. Now here's what's really interesting. I mentioned at the outset of the video, kind of tongue-in-cheek, that yes, we're in an altcoin bull cycle because we know Justin Sun is making announcements about announcements. But here's kind of, I think, the real litmus test. Ethereum is starting to move at Altcoin Buzz IO. So ready for Ethereum all-time high. And we're beginning to see some of the signs here. It really does look to be gearing up for something very, very special indeed. David Gokhshtein here. Right now, Ethereum and Litecoin are again moving with Bitcoin. Also, VeChain has finally woken up. But I think more importantly, in terms of the larger caps, Ethereum and Litecoin are really starting to show some very significant signs of life. Let's go back to this tweet from yesterday. I mentioned that CZ was celebrating the fact that Bitcoin has flipped Visa's market cap. So yes, that is very big news indeed. But Ethereum, which just minutes ago really topped $700 for the first time since 2018, Ethereum's market cap is also something to be celebrated right now. Ethereum is now bigger than Spotify, GM, Baidu, Ferrari, and BMW. So this is kind of an indicator that the upcoming crypto bull run for altcoins is going to be massive. Ethereum, don't forget, is not an asset in the same way that Bitcoin is. Ethereum is a platform, and that means the possibilities for one that wants to build on Ethereum are endless. And it indicates, at least in my opinion, that the financial system is slowly moving to decentralized finance, slowly at first and then rapidly. There are multiple variables here in this equation, but this is just one of them here, a major factor. Institutions will start buying Ether in 2021. That's according to a Messari analyst. This from today, the 27th of December on Coindesk.com. CME Group's recent announcement that it will launch Ether futures on the 8th of February 2021 is the so-called writing on the wall that institutions will begin buying the cryptocurrency next year, according to a pair of tweets by Ryan Watkins, an analyst at crypto data provider Messari. And don't forget, this is also corroborated by what Barry Silbert and the team over at Grayscale have said recently. They fully expect the focus, although it's going to be maintained, although the prioritization is going to remain on Bitcoin, they fully expect that the focus will start shifting towards Ethereum as more and more people open up to that as being the next big thing, the next big possibility for some individuals that feel like they may already be missing the boat when it comes to Bitcoin. I think everybody is still early. However, everything's relative, and you have to understand the behavioral psychology, the financial behavioral psychology of people entering into the market for the first time. They do kind of rightly see Ethereum as potentially a bigger opportunity with a bigger upside given the current price and given the current market cap versus Bitcoin. Litecoin is also a major opportunity for many, perhaps less so in an institutional sense, but many people are getting excited about Litecoin. It is showing similarly some major signs of life along with Ethereum lately. Here, master 250K Bitcoin, 6.25K Litecoin, 2021. What a name. Save this. Pin this, like this, share this, send this, accumulate for this. Hashtag LTC, hashtag Litecoin. So when we take a look at the chart here, this is not financial advice. For all I know, this is just a silly chart that isn't quantitatively backed. The implication here is that Litecoin in the years ahead, in the next 5 to 10 years, could potentially see a total market cap of $1 trillion. That would be equivalent to a unit price for Litecoin of $12,000 per coin. It's crazy to think about now, but we do talk about the fact that we fully expect Bitcoin to reach a point where it's equivalent with gold's market cap, which now sits somewhere, it's floating around maybe the $10 trillion mark. So if we kind of do the math, again, I mentioned earlier that Bitcoin is worth $500 billion now. You're looking at a price multiple of about 20 times right there. Now, Litecoin, for the sake of argument right now, to give it a nice clean number, let's think of it as about $150 roughly. 20 times multiple doesn't get us to $12,000 per coin, but it does get us to $3,000 per coin. So if you can achieve $3,000 in the next 5 to 10 years, again, that's assuming that Bitcoin is roughly equivalent to gold. There's no reason why Litecoin can't be $3,000. And don't forget, Litecoin used to have a much higher value relative to Bitcoin. So perhaps if we do see the market swell 20 times and we do see Litecoin return to its all-time high values in a relative sense, so I'm talking in terms of Satoshis, maybe $12,000 is possible. It's obviously getting a lot of people pretty excited, as is exemplified here. I think 300 is that kind of movie that just keeps on giving. It just never runs out of memes. So let's keep a tab on Litecoin as well as Ethereum. And right now, let's take a look at the numbers specifically. So as mentioned, Bitcoin did hit that all-time high, about $28,500 earlier this morning on the 27th of December. If you want to call it a flash crash, a retracement, whatever, it did kind of retrace $2,000 or so. Right now, sitting just below $27,000 US. We're on the Binance Bitcoin USDT 1-minute chart here. Let's take a look at the futures charts where I kind of track those projects that are most interesting to me. Bitcoin right now, a little bit higher on that chart, just above 27,000, but it's slightly misleading, and it is indeed a bit of a leading indicator. Let's take a look at Ethereum, which did hit some highs earlier in the morning, $718.75 on this chart. It's always kind of frustrating because, just as some projects really start to take off, like Ethereum, for example, these last few hours has just been surging. It built up that momentum. It got over $700. And then Bitcoin just decided to have this flash crash and retrace. And of course, Bitcoin is the tide that either lifts or sinks all ships. So that's always frustrating, personally, when you have this one project that you're following and it's just at that breakout point and Bitcoin spoils the party. The way I see it is that 718, as soon as we get some volume back into Bitcoin, as soon as we get back to about maybe 27.5, 28 again, you're going to see Ethereum really take off once the market feels a little bit more comfortable. Litecoin, as of right now, is flat on the day, but still performing very well. It hit a high of nearly $140 here on the LTC USDT Binance futures chart. Continued performers include Zilliqa, still up 11.36% on the day, nearly hit $1. I fully expect that to happen very, very soon. And VeChain also performing extremely well from lows recently, as low as about 1.1 cents, now 1.7 cents, and was above over 1.8 cents. So very, very good developments and very good price performance here for VeChain. So guys, when you take all of this activity, all of these factors, and all of these variables into account, as we say here on the Twitter handle, bankers are rightly getting concerned about their fiat holdings. It is indeed a true story. So many countries around the world, whether you're talking about strict cryptocurrencies, whether you're talking about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, it could be Bitcoin as well, it could be altcoins, but everybody understands more or less the writing on the wall. And from what I'm hearing in terms of these longer podcasts that I'm listening to, exchanges between Michael Saylor and Raoul Pal of Real Vision, for example, and others, some of these guys that come from the macro environments, Mike Novogratz, Paul Tudor Jones, supposedly the rumor that I've been hearing through the grapevine is that so many of these individuals that are just now coming out and publicly admitting to the fact that, yeah, we're looking at Bitcoin. So I mentioned Paul Tudor Jones, for example, who's been leading that charge publicly. Apparently, in that circle, everybody's been privately holding Bitcoin for a long time, like in excess of a year. And just right now, they're comfortable because the instruments are starting to come in. They're able to implement these into their corporate portfolios, but they've had it privately held in their personal portfolio for the longest time. So we're only now seeing kind of the fact that it's being publicly shared, but behind the scenes, there's so much happening. So Japan, here on the Japan Times, prepares for digital currency in line with China and others. This is referring certainly more to the CBDC space, but it all overlaps. It's all applicable and something that you guys should read up on if you're at all interested. We'll link to this in the description below. CoinDesk, at CoinDesk here, also talking about how BlackRock is openly advertising for a new VP blockchain position. This individual will be the blockchain lead to, quote, drive demand to firms' crypto offerings. BlackRock, you hear different figures right now. I think it's quoted here on CoinDesk.com as a $6.8 trillion company in terms of assets under management. I've heard it go as high as 7.5 and even $8 trillion. So just a massive company. Again, this is them kind of indicating to the world that they're taking this stuff seriously, as are JP Morgan, as are Citibank, as are Fidelity, as are Ruffer, as are Jefferies, as are Mass Mutual, as are basically every major institutional heavyweight that you can think of at the moment. And if they're not publicly declaring it, believe me, they're working on it behind the scenes. Believe me. Also from CoinDesk here, CME's Ether futures indicate institutions will start buying Ethereum in 2021. So we saw this earlier. Just want to kind of stay on the theme of what CoinDesk is indicating here. A lot of positivity, a lot of bullish support here in terms of these institutional Ether futures launching in February of 2021. For you guys that are also bullish on GRT, the graph, it's a very volatile asset. So that's kind of the caveat here. As a preface, I just want to warn you guys, be careful with some of that volatility and some of the FOMO and the hype. But if it's something that you are interested in, and believe me, it's a great project. As I mentioned, we used it for our work, our analytics with Unbound Finance. It's a fantastic service and potentially has a very, very bright future. You just have to be careful right now with the extreme volatility. But that being said, on altcoinbuzz.io, crypto.com has added support for the graph GRT. So it joins a list now of over 80 cryptocurrencies that are supported by the crypto.com app. Check out this article written up by Rachel here. And what can I say, guys? It's been a pretty crazy day. Do be sure to let us know in our poll, right? That's on the community section of the Altcoin Buzz YouTube page, whether or not you think Bitcoin can break $30,000 by the end of this year. We still have a few more days, but it's been an unbelievable run. I'm kind of starting personally to shift my focus towards Ethereum. I think, yeah, I've said it for really weeks now. I think once Ethereum breaches that $700 mark, there's going to be a lot of quick movement toward $1,000 is kind of my upside target. And once it breaches $1,000, I think that's where people really start paying a lot of attention to Ethereum, and it has a very good chance to rather quickly break its previous all-time high. Don't forget Ethereum's previous all-time high, looking at the maximum time span here on the charts, was $1,448. So $1,448.18. That was set on the 12th of January, 2018. I personally, and this is not financial advice, but I personally would not be surprised if we break that all-time high by the 12th of January, 2021. The way things are looking right now, the way things are lined up in anticipation, especially of those futures, which are launching on the 8th of February, 2021, that's all happening very, very quickly indeed. And I have some similar optimism when it comes to Litecoin, but we'll leave that to another video. Guys, that is about it for today. So much is happening in this space. So in order to keep up, be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels. Keep checking back into the website, altcoinbuzz.io, for all the latest. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to receive notifications if you enjoyed today's video. Best of luck if you do choose to invest. Stay safe out there, everybody. And as always, we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.